I just think it's amazing how people can make these pivots in life. So let's kind of talk about that. When we last left off, it was probably when we were wearing Affliction and Ed Hardy.
Sparkly jeans, man.
Yes, sparkly jeans. And all of a sudden, this guy's he's one of the largest CBD companies in the States. And you guys are doing some big things.
Kind of what led me to where I'm at today is this: I realized I wasn't meant for the corporate world. And I kept on trying to put myself into this box. And I realized I didn't fit in that box. And so I literally packed up and moved to Colorado on a whim, left a six-figure job, trimming $10 an hour, and worked my way from the very bottom, and eventually learned enough to where I felt I could own a company and use the experience we saw on the marijuana side, because that's where I started, and took that knowledge to the hemp industry. And we went from a basement 2.5 years ago to being in 56 countries, and I have some pretty cool partnerships.
Welcome to the Positive People Posse Living Room. I'm your host, Dom Green, life enthusiast and marketer of Positive People Posse. This is where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and uplifting. We sit down with entrepreneurs, creators of all types, and today I'm very fortunate to have an old friend. I'm not calling you old, but Mr. Brady Bell with Pure Spectrum. How are you? How are you, man? How are you doing?
No, I'm doing well. I think the last time I spoke to you, cannabis industry, and my days are like a never-ending episode of Jerry Springer. So that's about where I'm at.
So Pure Spectrum, tell the listening audience what Pure Spectrum is before we jump into how we know each other.
Pure Spectrum, we're a company in the hemp space. We focus on CBD and other minor cannabinoids. We completely remove all THC from our products. And that's one of our niches, and that's what has allowed us to form strategic relationships with major sports organizations like CrossFit, USA Triathlon, USA Weightlifting. We have two more really cool Big Four sports partnerships that'll come up after January 1, but that's kind of all due to strong SOPs and having soil to oil transparency and no THC.
Man, I love that. And tell people what SOP is, because we've got some rookies on the podcast.
Standard operating procedures.
Man, this guy, you can tell he's kind of a madman scientist, obviously. He knows a lot about his product, listeners. So let's kind of talk about how we know each other, because the Brady Bell that I knew was this guy who was in real estate, and he was a former athlete and all these things. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to say this, it was last year, I'm just chilling on Instagram. This is how marketing's so effective. I'm chilling on Instagram, and all of a sudden I see this news story, and Brady Bell is in a suit and tie talking on CNN or something like that. I don't even know what it was. And I was like, yo, Brady, is that you? I just hit you up out of nowhere, not knowing what you've been doing, where you've been. And it's crazy how full circle, how life comes about. But, I was super proud, because I was like, man, I hadn't seen this guy in years. And all of a sudden he's sitting down on a business show. And so, yeah, man, I just think it's amazing how people can make these pivots in life. And, so let's kind of talk about that. When we last left off, it was probably when we were wearing Affliction and Ed Hardy.
Sparkly jeans, man.
Yes, sparkly jeans. And, we were in our little punk stage, right? And then all of a sudden, this guy's he's got one of the largest CBD companies in the States, and you guys are doing some big things.
It was just finally getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And going back to when we met each other and how we knew each other, I was a shitbag. I was going through a character building stage during that time where I was kind of living in the past and my past successes and dealing with the post real estate, collapse. I was a fucking mess, dude. I still wish you guys would have kicked my ass that one night. We won't go into that. But kind of what led me to where I'm at today is this: I realized I wasn't meant for the corporate world, and I kept on trying to put myself into this box, and I realized I didn't fit in that box. And so I literally packed up and moved to Colorado on a whim, left a 6-figure job, trimming $10 an hour, and worked my way from the very bottom, and, you know, eventually learned enough to where I felt I could own a company and use the experience we saw on the marijuana side, because that's where I started. And I knew that the THC, you know, so they're all molecules. They're all going to evolve the same way, just in a different path. And I took that knowledge to the hemp industry, and, you know, we went from a basement 2.5 years ago to being in 56 countries currently, and, you know, have some pretty cool partnerships. So it's been weird.
Man, very humbling. You know, there's been many points in time in my life where I had to humble myself, and you know, you don't always feel the most sense of pride about what you have to do to get where you need to go, but
Right.
you know, for you to actually go ground level and learn that industry and build it as such, where you're a student to the game and doing something that's like, you know, frowned upon in a sense, but then get to this this new perspective on life where you're like, well, there's another side to it. You know, there's another side of hemp, and like, there's so many good things that can come about on the cannabis industry. And myself, you know, weed's not for me, but CBD is. You know, and I, I definitely see the benefits in it because, you know, for me, everyone has like a different way or receptors of how it metabolizes in their body and brain. And for me, it's never really worked. It's just never worked out for me. um, but seeing how it has worked and helped other people, you know, I think that's one of the key things, that it's undeniable that cannabis is changing lives. And so, yeah, just seeing you make that maturation, man, I think that's just very inspiring, that you can go from ground level, learn something, and then now you've got a product that's actually changing lives. That's dope.
Yeah. You know, and what's weird, it comes full circle, because I started this way before, you know, in college, and I actually did some jail time, and I was facing a mandatory minimum of 4.5 years for having over an ounce of cannabis in a school zone, right? Obviously, I'm not going to tell you how much I had. It was well
Yeah.
over an ounce, but it was weird to go from, you know, being in a jail cell with this stuff and your family completely chastising you, but still knowing that's the direction that you want to go. And it's like, okay, let me throw all this shit away that maybe, you know, I love and I appreciate, but maybe it's not where I'm supposed to be. And then you find yourself $10 an hour doing something that puts you in jail for, and
Wow.
then start seeing all the changes, you know, all the stories from kids, you know, overcoming, you know, their issues with epilepsy and, you know, anxieties and social disorders. And I was a part of a veterans program that focused on PTSD, and it was the Wounded Warriors program. And seeing 97 out of 100 of those individuals that were in that pilot program take CBD. Some took cannabis, some only took CBD, but to see that percentage of individuals completely get back into society. I mean, these are guys that were wounded, struggling, not being able to hold a job, relationships were falling apart, and the cannabis plant made them feel to where they could be better husbands, where they could go hold down that job, being, you know, respectable people in communities, not going on drug binges and alcohol binges and spending all their money, that, you know, the little money that they're getting and little relief that they're getting from the VA. I don't know, it's been weird, man. And
Yeah.
there's so much of that continues to come to
Yeah,
fruition.
it is very unfortunate to see that people have had to deal with some serious time because of this plant. You know, like for me, I believe that a lot of people have freedom of choice. You know, it doesn't mean, you know, I'm expecting them to do the most extreme thing, and knowing how that they can have an effect on society regardless. If you overindulge in anything, it can be a bad thing. You know,
Right.
so you know, but it's nice to see that there has been more reform. We still have a long way to go with that,
Long way to go with
and
THC.
there are people who are still sitting in jail for minor drug offenses. But I would say that on this side of the fence now, you know, even CBD's got this stigma with the federal side of things, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Well, it's weird. And we actually overruled the DEA statements. That was one of my first crazies is we started getting all of our packaging confiscated from USPS. And we have no THC. We're hemp. You know, hemp's been sold in Walmarts and stores for many times, or for many years, but it was hard for them to distinguish CBD from the hemp plant and CBD from the marijuana plant. Well, by definition, they're defined. And then you go in even deeper where CBD is found in dark chocolate. CBD is found in black pepper and echinacea and liverwort. And there's like 4 other plants that contain CBD. They're not illegal. So we actually, you know, the government was saying CBD from the marijuana plant and hemp plant were the same. I was getting harassed by the FBI, and we knew what we were doing was correct. And you know, I looked at my daughter because I have full custody, you know, 100% mom and dad, and I said, I believe in this, but I got to get your permission. Can we take the government to court? You know, but my consequence is X, which is way more than 4 years. Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, I believe in you. You know, if you believe it, do it. And we won, and we overturned what the government perceived it as, and now there's a true definition. We have regulation by the Department of Ag, and you know, it's just one of the small wins. But as you were saying, only 9% of America can tell you what CBD is and can tell you the difference of CBD of like hemp and marijuana. Yeah. You know, they're the same molecule in the same plant, just a different source, making one legal, one legal. So
no doubt. So because of that workaround, like, what have you guys done differently to market yourselves? Because like, I'm driving down the street and I look over and there's a pizza place called Marco's selling CBD now. And I'm like, this does not make any sense to me. Like there's like anyone and everyone has CBD, right? And so it's like, what are you guys doing to differentiate yourselves and be disruptors in this market?
You know, that's a great question, because, you know, I got into it in 2014. So, you know, there were only a handful of companies in the CBD space. You could literally Google CBD and there wasn't one page of information on it. That's when I started. So our differentiation is I'm a former athlete, right? Has been athlete. And I knew what cannabis did for me personally. And I started, we'll stop that there. And then I spent a whole summer and a little more, so about 4 or 5 months at the University of Colorado working with their neuro department. I learned from scientists who are studying cannabinoids and CBD in general. And I started understanding the scientific background on it. You know, like we have an endocannabinoid system and these molecules register with our receptors in our body. And we have more CB1 receptors in our brain, which that's where the THC binds to. So that's why it's psychotropic. And then we have CB2 in our lower peripheral. And that helps with our skins, our cell, and bringing our body to balance and homeostasis. And I'm like, wait a minute. And then they showed me a patent the government had. It's patent, US patent 6630507. And it demonstrates that CBD is a neuroprotectant, an antioxidant. And I'm like, athletic. You know, these guys have to follow USADA and WADA and NSF. They can't have marijuana in their system. What about if we give them all the other cannabinoids that aren't illegal? It helps them with anxiety and stress and recovery. And literally we put our whole focus on recovery and went after the sports realm. I hate when people say they're the first to do it, but we were. And, you know, we went from the Denver Broncos to the UFC to the UFC Performance Institute to partnering with CrossFit to becoming the first partner with USA Triathlon and exclusive product, CBD product to Team USA. And that is our differentiation, is we went and sought outside approval from our industry, not industry regulated people that's a pay to play. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck it. Let's go get vetted by CrossFit and Reebok and Rogue and, you know, Team USA's, sorry, my dogs, Team USA's and the governing bodies. And, you know, when you get that type of vetting, now it takes the ambiguity away of, is this company good or not? Yeah. You know, we're not saying we are, these people said we are. And, you know, our logo is now next to Nike, to Toyota, to Gatorade, to Rogue. It's so weird. And it's just, you know, like you said, now it's everywhere. It's a moneymaker. It's a green rush. I think there's 3,000 brands in the space today. They estimate around 250 will survive. I think we're pretty well positioned to stay in that 250.
Yeah, man. It's all about relationships, and I can feel your positive ego right there. But we're good for we're going to be a part of the 250. You know. You know, what's really important for our listeners, and speaking to you, listener, right now, I don't know who you are, where you're at right now, but is that you can pivot at any point in time. And, you know, at any point in time, a dream can come to you innately and as natural as something that you might already be familiar with, something that has gotten you in trouble. but that path to success is different for everyone. And so Brady, talk about, like the aha moments of your life, like I'm sure that you've had plenty of them, but for me, that aha moment was kind of like you, where I said, well, I actually lost my job. I didn't go to jail or anything, but I lost my job where I was making good, healthy six figures. And when I lost my job, it was like, to me, it was like, well, I want to be myself at all times, right? And I can't do that in a corporate environment. I've got to placate to someone else's philosophies, ideas, and their culture. And so I want to create my own culture, and that was Positive People Posse, because I love business and I love working with people. That's why I'm able to wear this flannel jacket and my own brand. There you go. You get to dress up whoever you like to be, right? And so, like, for other people, they're in the corporate structure and they feel like, there is no way out. And, it's so comfortable. And so, like, the aha moment hits for some of us. Sometimes it's forced, and others it's like, well, I'm just going to go after do my own thing. I'm going to go after my own fucking dream, not someone else's. And so tell me about a couple aha moments in your life.
That's awesome. I love hearing your story. You've always been a go-getter. A lot of my aha moments were my failures. You know what I mean? Where you just get sick and tired of stuff. And like you said, it's like, I'm not fit for a corporate box. And so it's like, you just have to finally look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what do you want to do? I wanted to do what I'm doing today. Obviously I first thought it was the marijuana side. But as you said, is you have to be able to pivot at any given time. And when I was just getting into the cannabis space on the marijuana side and had my own company, and I realized I started a full company too quick, right? So that was honestly my first aha, is being able to accept, okay, you're right where you want to be, but you're not ready for that spot yet. Yeah. So what comes with that? Okay, more education. Sit back and observe. So I spent 2 years learning how to grow. I spent 2 years researching, watching the market, just doing statistical bullshit, because all you're doing is growing plants, Yeah. So for 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on what cycle you're in, that's how how much spare time you have to do something else. And so when I had an opportunity to pivot to the hemp space and made that traction, and I was in the stadium at the Denver Broncos and speaking to their entire alumni, that was like, okay, you're here, you're onto something. The next thing I'm talking to Jeff Nowitzki at the UFC Performance Institute, and he's the individual that busted Lance Armstrong. So I got to listen to that story firsthand, dude.
God,
it's one of the best. That right there is a flashbulb memory I'll never forget. Listening to how they caught Lance Armstrong and that whole process, and and just from there, it's just been staying on that trajectory and not self-sabotaging yourself like I used to.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk too much on the Lance Armstrong thing, but but at the same time, I feel like sometimes we sensationalize a lot of things, and seeing someone, I don't really know him too well. I don't know anything about him, but I see how media can sensationalize a lot of things, and we try to tear organizations apart. And one thing that I will say about that, might lose a subscriber or two because of this, but I believe that it really just tarnished the name of Livestrong and the overall mission of, like, I really like what they did with their organization, as far as the brand recognition. I felt like it was such a strong marketing concept, and it's unfortunate that people lost jobs within that. And so I'm always thinking about, like, the people that are affected with things like that. And so,
and on the other side of that sword, though, is 9 out of 10 of those individuals are all doing this.
Yes, 100%, and that's what I was going to say.
Whoever gets caught, obviously that ripple effect's going to happen with everything that's in alignment with that person.
Yes,
they all know that that's a risk, but at the end of the day,
yes, that's the tough part. That's what I was going to say. Is more of there are a lot of people. It's a dirty industry, like with in competition, like. Competition as a whole, everyone's trying to get the leg up on their competition, and so it's really it's a challenging feat to do things the right way. Of course, like that, and so, but nonetheless, that aha moment, that pivot, and, your sense of awareness, I think some people really have a tough time figuring out if they are able to trust their gut instinct, or if they're just taking a shot in the dark. And for me, I don't know what your answer would be, but I feel like there's a little bit of luck, but there's a whole bunch of hard work that has to be thrown in the mix as well. You don't really get lucky. Like, you have to have enough activity, enough momentum, enough finding the right relationships, navigating those relationships, connecting those types of dots. And then it gets you in that preparation for that luck to happen, where it's like, oh yeah, something was going to happen. Like, statistically speaking, you're going to grow exponentially in business as long as you're constantly marketing. You're going to reach someone. Yep. To what magnitude, what individual, or what organization is going to come down the line, that's to be determined. But you have to get yourself in position, right?
Yeah, it's just like, what's that saying? When hard work and luck meet, that's where you find success, right? And it's just exactly what you said. Is nothing comes easy the first time. I failed at my first business in the cannabis space, but I didn't look at it as a failure. I looked at it as an opportunity. This has never been done before. What playbook do I have to go by, right? Yeah. Then I jumped in. I created another company, and it was probably, it was one of the first 10 companies created. I'm not going to say their name over the air. I'm not going to give them publicity, but I owned it. And I created it and blew this fucker up, but I didn't sign operating agreements, and I fucked up. I didn't sign operating agreements. I didn't have, all the articles of incorporation, everything done. I did it on a handshake with an individual, and brought in a big investor, and realized that I didn't have a thing. I thought I had 40% of this company. He was going to own some. We were bringing some for investors, and I literally walked away from that, and it was like another failure. And I put $200K into it. I really didn't have I didn't have any money really left to do anything. And I was like, I'm going to give it one more time, then, just like you said with timing, my idea with Pure Spectrum happened to be the right idea at the right time, with enough failures behind me to be able to start, creating a trajectory that nobody else has. And now I know how to do it. And so if I would have stopped, somewhere on those roadblocks, obviously I would have, made this move to Colorado, and nothing would have came of it. But you got to go all in if you're going to go all in.
Man, what's easier, giving, like, you being who you are, what's easier, giving up or not keep going? Keep, like, just staying on that path of, like, knowing that I'm going to keep on trying. Is it easier for you to give up, or is it harder for you to give up on your, or is it?
I'm a pit bull.
Yeah,
I'm a pit bull, dude. Like, but I also am smart. Just like when I knew to get out of my marijuana company, I had this huge grow, and I had a grower who I thought knew how to grow. He knew how to grow in a garage, but he didn't know how to grow 138 lights, a flower and about that in veg. And, he was like a deer in the headlights, and I had to fire him. I'm like, I don't know how to grow. So I also had to be smart enough to know when to throw in the towel. It's just like, an athlete, fighting the UFC, like, just because you get the towel thrown in on one fight, you still become champion.
Yeah.
And then the towel's going to be thrown in on all the others. So
I just feel like there's just always something, right? Like, you can't ever feel comfortable. Like once you get what you want, then you realize that you still have, like, a full layout of work ahead. It's like, for me, I never feel like if I get this one thing that I'm going to be satisfied. And people who are very complacent, and they're just, like, constantly in that state where it's like they get what they want, and then they're like, okay, I'm good. It's like, well, shit, what's going to happen? The fucking ground's going to fall from beneath you, right? At some point in time, like, you can't be that comfortable. And so it's kind of hard to have that same instinct for other. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, I think that you have to have that go-getter attitude. Like, what are we trying to improve, right? Is that what you guys are doing now? Is it more like, okay, we are a leader in this space, we got to maintain our spot. Someone's obviously trying to take it, right?
Oh, yeah.
we have to either maintain or, look at other areas? Like, what's your mindset? What's your mindset with that?
It's the industry, it's crazy as is, right? Everything's always changing, everything's always, happening, but you just have to continue to climb the ladder of like the next thing and whatever your trajectory is. And ours are sports and recovery. And so it's weird getting to a certain point where, the CrossFit was the biggest thing we ever did. We partnered with them. That was the first for the cannabis industry. Now I look at that as it's awesome. They're amazing. And I owe a lot of my success to that, but okay, there are many other sporting organizations that I want to get to, the NBAs, the NFLs, like, the WWEs, all the best athletes, they all could utilize this stuff. And so it's like, how do you keep climbing that ladder from going, being the first to partner with the governing body? Okay, well, now let's get into the big four. Well, we're going to be there. And then once you get there, then it's like, you have to go to that creation and manifestation mode of, what is next? Do I want to find a out and sell this? We're at a point where I could sell it and walk away and, coach high school basketball for the rest of my life and then be enjoyable. And, it's just, I don't know. To me right now, it's a game and it's ever evolving. And I'm just trying to figure out what that next level is. And, I'll know when I'm at the final level for what I want to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't change and you don't adjust,
there you go.
It happens, man.
Yeah, you're right about that. I just saw something in the news that NBA is not going to be testing for marijuana this year. So it sounds like they're on the path of cannabis being something that they recognize that's going to help athletes recover. So not meaning that it's, it's just about THC usage and stuff, but, being able to be recognized within that industry, I think that was definitely that was a signal saying like, hey, we believe in, the trauma that, some athletes have to face. I mean, that's just that rigorous freaking game. You're going up and down the court on hard wood floors. And then we're talking about them playing 120 games a year, a third of the year, if
something
not more.
Like that. And then the other aspect of it is the mental of, you have somebody judging you every second, every minute that you're on the floor. And so It's like the mental side is just as, tough as the physical side. So, with us on the outside watching, we're like, I don't want to hear
complaining.
You complaining.
Yeah.
It's like, no, actually they have a lot to complain about, probably more than, I know they have more to complain than I do.
Yeah. It's so hard to always be on sometimes, like we don't have that same scrutiny where the camera's not on us all the time. And I can't lash out at someone for getting in my face or whatever it may be. You're supposed to be this role model, this person in the public. And, like they're entertainers and, there's a lot of responsibility with that. And, I don't know if you watched Last Dance or not, but I was a fanatic over it. But it was amazing to hear about how recluse Jordan was. That he didn't even want to step outside because all this the pandemonium with it, and people think that's like an easy thing to have. And it's nothing that I've ever wanted out of my life. I never wanted to be. Actually, I did want to be famous at one point in time. That's when I had my mohawk.
Could you imagine how bad that is on your dopamine receptors?
Yes. Feeling alert and, someone's always needing something from you. You don't know what people's intent is. There's a lot that you have to deal with.
Yep.
And so we only understand it from a lower level, and it's like, we can try to empathize, but there's only so much that we can understand. And most people just think that, they're lucky. It's still a sport. You still have to get out there and grind. And so what people do to their bodies for entertainment, it's like, they got a good paying gig, but I'm sure mentally to be in any position, in any sport that you're having to train every single day or perform, that's going to weigh on you at some point in time. So cannabis is something that I believe in for other people to do within moderation, as long as it doesn't affect their relationships. Who are we to tell you whatever you need to be doing with your life and your body, you know?
Yeah. And I just believe it, I believe in, natural medicine. It's a plant, it's natural.
Yeah, for sure.
And, when I learned we have receptors that plant, is meant for, and then you go to opioids, which, I lost one of my best friends to opioids, and they're designed to hit the same receptors, but from
Yeah.
a synthetic side, which creates addiction. You can't really be addicted to cannabis, maybe socially, but not, psychologically or, from a body stance. It's been proven from, these universities. So it's just good that the athletes have an alternative to either go quote unquote natural side, or they can choose and go pharmaceutical and Western medicine. It's like, allow them to choose. It's their future and it's their career. Let them choose what therapies they want.
Yeah, man. What you just said there, losing life because of opioids, I think we all have had, a lot of us have had someone in our life that we either lost or we're actually on the verge of losing someone to some type of addiction. And, for me, yeah, it's been family members, it's been friends. And, I think that's always been that type of observance that I've been able to observe from the outside and say, like, I don't want to become that, but not everyone has that within them to say that that type of influence won't affect them to be the same way. But it's also a genetic makeup for people to be very addicted to things more than others. Now, like, obviously the path that I'm going down is more so of like, we have people in our lives that suffer, people in our lives that suffer due to whatever it may be, things that are mentally messing their heads up with mental health or drugs, addiction, whatever it may be. Like, talk about, have you had people talk about what you just talked about? You lost a friend due to opioids, so
yeah.
So that affects you, And
that's one of my best friends from high school, and he was getting his PhD, and he was going to be a doctor, and so it's like, it was just different. Like I never knew what that looked like, but make a long story short, they all had money. They were little rich kids, and had the ability to get OxyContin, and then all of a sudden that went away from a pharmaceutical side. Like there were so many more parameters got put in place that translated into the white powder heroin. I don't know anything about that kind of shit, but and it goes into the other one, the more manufactured one, and they were going to buy some, and the guy executed him, and another guy in the front seat in the way to steal their car and their money. And it was just like, the kid played Division I football, played at OU. It was just like such a, it's like with everybody. It was just, it's sad to see a life go from those mental lapses.
Yeah, man. What you're talking about is like, you're talking about something that is prescribed. We're talking about addiction that's prescribed, and that's yeah, we don't see that in the cannabis industry. So,
actually, OxyContin kills more, or oxycodone. It kills more than all street drugs combined, like times like 3 or 4.
Sheesh.
It's insane.
Man. On to some positive news.
Yeah, let's get on the positive stuff. That's positive peeps.
So yeah, tell me about some of the success stories in your life that you're really just, you're happy that you surpassed. Like when you like knock down one thing, you're like, this is like really, I didn't expect myself to be this person. Cause I feel like every single year I look back and I'm like, dude, you still have so much more to learn. But I'm proud of you, son. Talking to my old self, and so yeah, talk about some of those successes. I mean, you have full custody of your kid. It seems like one thing that I know about you is you are very much a father.
Yeah, that was my turning point in life right there. Is you have to have a strong why, and when you become mom and dad, as a dad of a 6-year-old daughter, it was just like, okay, get your shit together. But I learned on this path that, you can create and manifest. I'm a firm believer in some weird things, of creation and manifestation. And, it's not just, I'm going to think of this and become it. It's like, no, you have to feel it. You have to go through this creation process. And I started really diving into that and believing into energy, and, your thoughts become your action become your behaviors become your environment. And, one of the first moments where I was like, this shit works. It works is for probably 5 months. It's weird. It's going to sound weird when I talk about it,
No,
but
please get weird on us.
so I'm a believer in frequency, and water translates frequency, and we have water within us, and so it's just a good way to create to carry any type of energy waves, thoughts, processes, whatever. And so I always do my manifestation and creation in the shower. And so I was like, if I could have my brand with 3 people, who would it be associated with, right? And I was like, drew a triangle on the steamed window, right, on the steamed glass shower, and put Joe Rogan, Aubrey Marcus, Brendan Schaub. Aubrey Marcus is the CEO of Onnit, and Brendan Schaub's former UFC fighter, comedian. We all know Joe Rogan. So I'm like, how am I going to get to these guys? Like, I don't know anybody that knows them. And I would stalk them. I would follow them on social media and be like, if I was ever in front of them, what would I discuss? Like, how would I communicate? And I'm like planning all this stuff as if I'm going to meet them.
Yeah.
Well, I found myself in the headquarters at Onnit, meeting with Aubrey Marcus's manager, and they wanted to bring CBD products to Onnit, to their product portfolio. The legal structure of the environments, the legal system, they just weren't ready yet. This was like in 2018. But Aubrey and I kept talking a little bit. I'm like, holy shit, I got one of the corners of my triangle going. But it didn't come to fruition. And I was like, I would love to pay for an hour of your mentorship. How much is it for an hour if I can just have a conversation with you? You took a business from 0 to 60 million annually. I'm pretty sure that, his exit at Onnit was pretty amazing. And I wanted to know more. And so I spent probably 30 to 40 minutes with that. It was a pretty awkward conversation. It was just weird. I'm like, it's not happening. And at the end, he's like, we're not ready, but I'd like to connect you to one of my best friends who is looking to partner with the CBD company. I'm like, okay, who's that? And he's like, Brendan Schaub. I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, really? Like, seriously? And he connected me with Brendan that night. 2 weeks later, I'm flying out to LA. I'm meeting with Brendan at his favorite coffee shop. We shook hands on an agreement. He ended up becoming an equity partner of the company. When we finished that equity deal, I went to the comedy club, and who's there? Joe Rogan. I'm still not doing anything with Joe Rogan, or didn't get any really further with it, but I was able to at least be right there with him and bring all those 3 people into my mode. And that night when I solidified it, I'll never forget. I'm in my hotel room, and it was just a moment where the old Brady would have gone out and celebrated.
Yeah.
He would have gone out and partied and made a night of it, and woke up, struggling. And I just sat there and indulged. I'm like, man, you can create whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it really started making me align the power of your thoughts, and always keeping the right shit in your mind, because it's probably going to come to reality, good, bad, or indifferent. And to me, that's just continually, set the stable and the path for what I'm doing today.
Man, I feel that, especially that optimal side. Like, if you don't feel optimal, like, what am I celebrating? The job is not done. Like, as soon as you take someone's money, or you have this new partnership, they actually believed in you, and so you're doing someone else disservice. And so, honoring that for yourself, like, awesome, man. It's like you finally learned your lesson. Many lives, many masters. It's like, it took you this long to learn in this life. And
took me to 40. They said life's over at 40. Mine just started, I guess.
Dude, I love that, man. I'm 5 years away from that, but I feel like we're constantly, manifesting, man. It's a real thing for us. We still wouldn't be here if we didn't, so you have to have that sense of belief and purpose, that spiritual aspect. I noticed with a lot of leaders that I've talked to.
And how was yours? Like, when you decided to go out to New York City? That's crazy. That's a crazy move. That's like trusting oneself. Tell me about that. Like, what was?
Man, I appreciate you asking, man. I think I was just kind of fed up with how small my town was, in a sense that I wanted to do bigger and better things. Not saying that I was too good for Kansas City, but, I just look at myself studying the same behaviors as everyone else. And I want to learn new behaviors. Right. And like, when you get to an environment like New York, it's a vortex, and you see that there are so many people of different types. and people are making it happen. Even if you are homeless, it's still the most expensive city in the world. That guy's probably living better than someone in Idaho, so
that's perspective right there. I love
it. And so like all of it, it just, that creativity that I've always lived in, I wanted more of it. And also I constantly want to influence that positive mindset, where I think that I can encourage other people to go after their dreams to some degree. And I think it's just really important to be around, have a good circle of people, but constantly be looking for relationships that are going to enhance you and not detract. And that's what I have, is people that in my life that are all about enhancing and not detracting, meaning that we're problem solving through conversations,
right.
Rather than just having a conversation about anything and everything. Like I can't just do just like lower level thinking anymore. Like once you get a taste of like any type of life, or like traveling the world, for me, that was one of them. You get a taste for that, you say, I want to learn more, and I want to do more of this, and I want to meet different types of people. Yep. And I've never really geeked out on celebrities or anything, but you have to think about like what makes a celebrity fascinating to watch and observe. And I think it comes down to the level of thinking. I'm not sure, I'm not talking about just any and every celebrity, but for me, it would be, like how Kobe Bryant was. Yeah. His level of thinking was beyond any luck. He literally had to put in work. Mike Tyson, for that matter, too, is a very brilliant man. People think that he's just this idiot guy because how he speaks. And I think when you get closer to seeing good examples, you're like, wow, I think I have that ability as well. And it's not just about being famous, but it's about saying, I want to do something bigger and better for myself. And that doesn't, it's not supposed to make other people feel bad, but if they do in the process, I think that's really on them. I've got a positive ego. I believe that I'm here to help a lot of people, and that's what we do with businesses. And I think that gets us even closer. And so, yeah man, every bit of it, it's not like I'm bathing in success, but dude, I can see it. I can feel it. I believe it. And, having conversations with people like you reaffirms, those types of beliefs, of that energy, that frequency.
Yeah, that's all it is. That mindset, you hit the nail on the head. It's, the more that I get around, we have over 100 affiliates, and, 40, 50 of them are household names, and they all have that same level of thinking, just in different ways, just like you said. And once you see it and once you're around, you're like, okay, this is the variable, the algorithm I see consistent across the board, no matter what sport they're in. Some people aren't even athletes. They're just different types of, high level individuals. And it all comes down to, positive mentalities and, just staying true to their why.
100%.
Stay true to your why. The how takes care of itself.
No doubt about that. Yeah. But one of my favorite books is Start with the Why.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Who is it? Simon Sinek or? Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah. And then another one as of late is The Power of Now. And that's a really, please listen to it. Please listen to it. Or listen or read it.
I like to listen to it.
I like to do both of them. And actually both of them have been very effective for me, because I've been able to, read, and then I write things that really speak to me. I'll write in the book as well. And then I'll listen to it in the workout and whatever. And it's weird. Like this year, like I think last year, I was listening to, it was on Spotify. I think I had about 120,000 minutes listened to on music. And then this year has been 60,000 minutes of listening to podcasts.
Oh, I know.
and then about 40,000 minutes listening to music. And so I keep music in my life. That's my balance. But dude, I love listening to people, because it fires me up, thinking that there's other people out there that, are thinking like me, and they're, by design, they are trying to design their life accordingly, going after their goals. And I think a lot of goals are within reach, but it's not, you don't predict when something's going to happen all the time.
Time. That's the most complex variable of the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah. And then those micro successes, like if you can get just as buzz on a micro success as a major success,
Yep.
then like you're on the right path, because people are going to feel that fucking energy, man. Yep. Yeah, I feel like my mom, I've said this on this podcast, listeners, you're probably tired of me saying this, but my mom said, if you started off at the top, where else would you have to go? And so
down.
Yeah, 100%.
Down the mountain.
And for you to have a later start, I think you're a testament to that. Like the success that you can see is your life is not over. And there's this entrepreneur, I forgot what his name is, but he says, life isn't short, life is long. And I'm like, dude, I've never really thought about it like that, because like for me, I'm like, shit, I was just like 24, like, a year ago, and I'm 35 now. So, but no, I really felt that, because everything's just the reverse. You can think on the reverse, and that can enhance like what you want to do. Like for me, I want to stay young forever, because I'm always going to be finding something.
Yeah. I was in the airport earlier this year, and this kid, he kept running into my daughter, and I finally got upset at him. I'm like, just stay away from my daughter, wake up, get your shit together, And he's like, dude, you're 50 and wearing Jordans. I'm like, man, hold up. I don't look fit. I'm 40, but I'm gonna wear Jordans till I'm 80. I'm never gonna grow up.
Dude, why these guys got to be such little haters, these little turds?
It's the ongoing joke around me. You're 50.
So what are you instilling? What do you want for your daughter? I know that she's into MMA still, right?
Yeah, it's like, as parents, what we try to do is just not screw them up, right? They don't understand that every day is, I'm learning, as we're all learning together at the same moment, the same minutes. And, Jada, she's so talented in athletics, you know what I mean? And, but my first parenting flaw is I coached her in basketball when she was in second grade. And there was like the all-star team, of course, all the cool kids around. Oh, Jada, it's like Roy Williams out there. I'm trying to get these girls into it. And I kind of run her in sports in those moments at first with basketball. And then I've learned to kind of just stay away. And so I just want her to be happy, and her happiness right now is MMA. She loves to, hit bags and, choke people out. And last year, I was getting ready to go pick her up. I get a text, and she's like, I'm about to fight a boy at the bike rack. And I'm like, I thought she was kidding. No, she wasn't kidding. And it's made her confidence, excel. But it's hard to watch your daughter. I know she's going to do it, and she's going to feed in it. And it's like, okay, that's what she wants to do, then I'll put her on that path.
Man, she's going to be tough. Fortunately, there's some good examples out there. Like, is it Megan?
Megan Anderson. She's
Megan
one of my
Anderson. Man, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I see what she does and how she goes about life, and she seems like she's got grace to her, And so you can be this tough person with a lot of grace. And yeah, man, your daughter's awesome, man. Like you've done really well. So I'm proud of you in that regard, man. Because
appreciate it.
I mean, that's a direct reflection on who you are. You know what I mean? So let's talk about your superpower, and then we're gonna talk about. Actually, let's start with your biggest weakness, and then we'll talk about your superpower. So, biggest weakness.
Biggest weakness is this hasn't always been my answer, but it's my kindness. I used to kind of be an asshole, and I wasn't always doing the right thing. Now I do the right thing so much, it becomes a weakness at times, and I set myself up. So I would say that's my biggest weakness at this point.
Okay. And then your superpower, what is it?
Perspective, being able to see everything from every angle. I don't always act that way, but give me 10 minutes, I can find perspective in anything, and that's become probably my biggest strength.
Love it. And then what do you want in the future? I'm not sure if it's this next year or the years to come? Like, what do you want? What are you trying to put out there in the world? Let's go ahead and do these affirmations right now. What do you want, Brady?
I've positioned myself to sell my company for a good little piece of change. And, my end goal isn't, as glorified as what I'm doing now. I want to coach high school basketball, and I took a group of kids from the freshman year here in Evergreen. Evergreen's a very privileged area. So the kids here from athletic realms are not like what you and I are used to. They definitely need a little more hard nose in their life. But, from the freshman year to the senior year that I worked with them and watching them excel, and, they went to state in football, they went to state in basketball, they hadn't been state in years. And, that's my calling. And when I'm doing that, I know that I've fulfilled everything that I was supposed to do. So.
Man, that is such a humble goal. Everyone else is like talking like Grant Cardone, like, hey, globalize. I'm going to have this real estate over here and whatever. But like, I love that, like.
Yeah. And, that's what it's like, I'm doing that. That's what it's like. You have to have a platform. Like being a coach, I think it's the hardest thing. They don't get paid that much, and they're doing one of the most important things. They're building, men and women boys and girls into men and women, and they make $30K a year. And so, a lot of my why is obviously to leave a legacy for Jada, but go out and do good for others, and put yourself in a position to where financially where I want to be, and then I can really just go be, put all my energy into this one thing that I know that'll continue to go good and carry on in life. So
make some impact, man. I love it. I dig it. Brady, thank you for being on the Positive People Posse living room. How can people follow you?
You can go to Instagram. This is really all I mess with anymore. It's Pure Spectrum Brady. And then you can follow us at purespectrumcbd.com as well. But thank you for putting us on your platform. And it's always good to talk with you.
Man, I appreciate that. Listen, like, and subscribe. We need all of your ratings so we can reach more people. If this really spoke to you, please share it to someone else. And always visit us at positivepeopleposse.com if you need anything for marketing. And we'll catch you next time. Peace out, live freely, and stay positive.